Okay people, welcome back to another Fwoosh review. Tonight I'm taking a look at the Bandai Star Wars 1/6 scale and 1/12 scale Yoda model kit. Now I know I've been sitting on this for about a month. I got it in, and then the celebration happened, and then a lot of new stuff started coming in, Marvel Legends, new Star Wars figures, import figures, and this just kept getting shuffled down in the stack. And part of it also is the fact that the 1/12 scale Yoda here is just a little statue. So that makes me a little bit more interested in the 1/6 scale Yoda that comes in this kit. Now that's a prequel Yoda. The 1/12 scale is the original Trilogy Yoda. It's our usual glossy black box with the pretty picture on top. It tells you what it is. On the side we have reference pictures for both the model kits. We have the model kits built right here. And as you can see, these are the usual promotional pictures that are nicely painted on top of being put together. And looking right here, it looks like there's two eye options. I don't know if that's stickers, I don't know if that's interchangeable eyes from behind the face. We'll find that out. On the end, pretty picture. On the other side, the big promotional shots for both model kits there, and then some warnings. Don't put glue in sensitive places. Don't cut off anything you're not supposed to cut off. And then on the back, yep, that exciting just expanse of blackness, glossy black. Yeah, it's the box. But looking inside the box, you get, well, the instruction sheet. We'll look at that here in a second. You get this. It's the stand. Actually, it's two stands. You get the rubberized parts for the lower part of the 1/6 scale Yoda's robe. It looks like all the body parts. On the other side, the inner robe brown parts. And then this is the joint pieces. And then we have the skin tone sprues. We have the big Yoda, we have the small Yoda, and again, I thought this would be bigger. And it looks like there's two faces included, so it's not an eye-changing gimmick, it's a face-changing gimmick. Have the water slide decals down here. It looks just like a bunch of silver and then some eyes. Got the hair piece, have the lightsaber piece. Looking at the instructions, on the cover you get the nicely painted Yodas. On the back is the decal sheets. It looks like eyes, different set of eyes. A lot of silver on the lightsaber up there, may just paint that. But it doesn't look too intensive on the decal front. And it doesn't look really in-depth on the instructions either. I figured this is not going to take as long as some of the more intricate kits. In fact, it looks like the 1/12 Yoda is just not even a full page. It's the stand for the 1/6. It's the 1/12 Yoda right here, and then a bunch of unreadables down here, so yeah. So I'm going to get started putting this together, and just like always, I'm not going to go through the whole build. I know some people have been asking for like a time lapse or something like that, but nobody wants to watch me fumble around. Half the time I'm putting wrong parts on other wrong parts. I got to pull it back apart, put it together the right way. If I run into trouble, I'll record that, or something interesting, I'll film that, and then at the end we'll do a review on both the figures. Now that I'm getting started, I realize it's been a while since I've built a kit. I can't even remember the last one I did. Was it the Scarif Stormtrooper? Maybe the 1/6 scale Stormtrooper, original trilogy? I don't even remember, but that's been a while ago. And there you go, about 10 minutes of work, and it's essentially about 13 pieces. You clip them, you put them together, and this is what you end up with. But you know what? No, I'll wait for that until the end. I kind of dig this, even though it is plain. But again, model kit, paint, supposed to do that. And oh man, moving up to the 1/6 scale model. But if you put together any of the figurized Dragon Ball Z model kits, you know how those work. Each piece of the eye is a different part, and that's the way it is here. It's actually, well, I already put it in there. But you can see this piece right here is essentially the white of the eye. It comes in there. And then there's this neon translucent piece that goes in there and forms the iris of the eyes. So you get the different colors in the eye, which is freaking amazing. And then, oh, zoo. If you hold it up to a light, you get kind of a glowing effect. But that's not going to happen when you have the back of the head on. And then this head is looking off to the left. But same effect until you put the back of the head on. Moving along, learning stuff as I go, I realize it's not interchangeable eyes, it's not interchangeable face plates, it's two different heads altogether. The eyes facing forward, you get the back of the head that has hair on it. The eyes looking to the left, you get a bald head to it. Looking to the left, you're keeping like that. Looking straight on, you have the old man hair on the back. Okay, kicking back for a minute. I was editing the video and I was watching the part about the interchangeable heads. The eyes are set to each head. And then I started thinking, maybe not. So I came back in here, started fiddling around, and you can switch the eyes between the two face plates, but you have to disassemble the whole thing again, which is essentially splitting the head. Then you have those parts in there. Now the green part likes to slide out of the tan white eye part. And with the decals on it, I don't want those coming apart. So I found the best way to do that is these two pegs sticking up at the top. If you can snag one, you can pull it out, put them in the face with the bald head, and that works too. So you can put either set of eyes in either face, but you can't interchange the hair piece with the bald piece, which makes sense. I mean, this was made for this head, the other was made for the other head, and that's how it works out. And then the eyes looking to the left, you can slide it into the head with the hair. God, I hate super glue. And I'm having to use super glue because my dumbass, like I said in the beginning, I'm gonna screw something up. I always do. And I clipped the peg off the lightsaber that goes onto the belt. So I'm gluing that back on. I don't plan on him having his lightsaber on his belt a lot, so there is that. Or am I just saying that because I clipped it off, because I'm a dumbass? I got the chest together, no problem. Got the hips together, no problem. Getting the legs together, it is kind of tricky to get this lined up. There's a knee hinge inside the assembly of the thigh. So you're trying to get around that, and you're trying to get this rubbery joint piece into the slot on the other side. So you gotta kind of try to line everything up and put it together. And the other one was a little bit harder to put together, but this one seems to be going together better. If I could get it, there you go. So yeah, not difficult. It's just getting everything lined up and getting over the fear that you're about to break something. And as I'm putting this together, I think I said earlier that it wasn't going to be a real intricate build, and it should go pretty smooth and fast. And it's a little bit more complicated than it lets on. I can see why they made the smaller one unarticulated. It's not too bad on the 1/6 scale one, but yeah, it would have been murder on my eyes and my fingers and everything else to get little joints together for the smaller Yoda. Okay, I talked a big game about the eyes being separate, the pupils, the outside, and I like that they did that, but I completely forgot about the decals for the eyes. And they actually have two sets for each eye. There's some that only cover the iris and the pupil, and there's some that cover the whole eye, whites and all. And as much as I talk this up, being separate, how cool it is, all that, I thought I'd give it a shot. And I did it on the other head that has the eyes looking to the side. And I have to admit, it does look good. It has the black, kind of a brown, the highlight to the eye. It brings a lot of life to it. But if they're going to have a decal for either that part of the eye or the whole thing, why go through the trouble of making it separate pieces like this? I don't know. Maybe it adds something behind the water slides, or tells you where to position it, because it does make it a lot easier when you can pull the back of the head off, pull the eyes out, and apply the decals directly to the eye. It's a little, in fact, it's way easier, because I also did the decal on the eyes for the 1/12 scale Yoda, and whew, those were a pain in the ass. And it does look pretty good, and I'm just using the standard decals. I figure if it's inside the eyelid, it's not raised anyway, so yeah, it's not going to hurt anything just to throw the decals on there. And there we go, all built, and there's nothing skirt blowing here, you know what I mean? I got it together, I messed around with it, they look good, and they're kind of plain, but I expected that because of paint, but yeah, there's nothing happening for me, and I hate to say that about a model kit. But let's take a look at the 1/6 scale Prequel Yoda first. This is a good action figure. The overall sculpt I like. The sculpt of the clothes is really nice. It has some nice wrinkling to it. Whenever you come back with paint apps on it, it's going to wash really well. Dry brush, it's going to bring out a lot of detail. And then on the skin, he's nice and wrinkly. It looks just like Yoda. There's no denying that this is Yoda. And both heads really capture that likeness. And then for the 1/12 scale original Trilogy Yoda, again, the sculpt is really nice. There's a lot of detail to it. It's not broken up because of articulation, although I prefer my figures to have articulation even if it does break up the sculpt. But again, all the wrinkles are there. There's nothing missing detail-wise, except for maybe some hair on the back. Again, he's looking a little bit bald. Now, the lower robe on the Big Yoda is rubbery, but it's not super get-out-of-the-way rubbery. Because it forms all the way around, it kind of forms a shell around it. So to get at the leg articulation, you gotta kind of dig. It's got good articulation, it moves around a lot, but his center of gravity always seems to be to the back. No matter how far forward you lean him, it goes backwards. Except for that time. So I don't know if that's the weight of this rubber piece, because even when you lean him over, this is counterbalancing it. So, yeah. I mean, you can get it there, you gotta find it, but if there's just a slight tip, yeah, it's going over. And then my other problem is they did a shoulder socket, a bell coming out to kind of cover the shoulder itself, and it's on a butterfly joint. Now they made that as two separate pieces, and the usual butterfly assembly that we've seen with earlier model kits is in there, but it has a cup that attaches to it. So if you get too crazy with it, the cup comes loose from the assembly, and you gotta kind of work it back onto there. But that's only if you get crazy with the shoulder itself. I just broke it loose right there, and you gotta kind of stick it back on. Not a huge deal, just something to watch out for whenever you're doing it. It covers everything, and when it slides out, you get the gap, but you get that on all model kits, so not a huge deal. Speaking on the 1/12 scale one, it's there. it's cool, but there's nothing really to point out here. It's there. Now going over articulation, there's a ball at the bottom of the neck and a ball at the top of the neck, so when you attach the head, you get a pretty good range of tilt. Then you get a little bit forward, the neck crashes into the body, then you can get a little bit up. And then of course there's swivel. Like I said, there's a butterfly joint in the shoulder. It comes out about that far, and once you have the butterfly out, you can move it around. But again, I knocked that cup loose moving the arm back. There's a hinge and swivel at the shoulder, comes up to about right there, and then it swivels around. There's a swivel at the bicep. Hinge at the elbow comes up about 90. Ball joint in the wrist, and it actually gets a little bit more than usual as far as the model kits go. It goes around, and then you can swivel it. You don't get a lot in the waist up and down. It gives back a little, but no forward. The coat itself pretty much hunches them automatically, but there is swivel there. The hips are on a drop down joint. You can bring it down, and then that gets it forward, not quite 90, out almost all the way, then that goes back up in there. There's also a swivel. His knee's only a single hinge, so it comes up to 90. There's a swivel at the foot. There's also back, forward, not a lot, and then forward facing pin for a little bit of rocker. As far as the 1/12 scale goes, yeah. For accessories, the 1/6 scale Yoda comes with two open hands, kind of force using, kind of force pushing. And then he comes with a left and right grip hand, and that's for the lightsaber. It's the same as all the other model kits. You clamp the hand around the lightsaber. What I usually do is leave the hand on the weapon. That way I just have to switch out hands. And then he also has a left hand that holds a cane. The only difference here, it's a little bit more gripped, and there's a hole in the hand to push the cane into. And like usual, to switch out the hands, it's just a single peg. There's not really a mushroom to it. And then you take the other hand, just press it in, and it's there. Now on this lightsaber, I painted it really quick. It was with a Gundam marker. I just wanted to get it out of the way. I'll come back and touch up later. And on this one, I put the decals on, again, hastily, just to get it detailed. And it looks pretty good. It's not bad, but I don't really like it anyway because you got to press it into the hole, and even if it's there, it presses up on this coat right here, and yeah, it just causes more trouble than it's worth. And then of course there's the two heads. There's the head that I've had on it the whole time with the hair out the back. His eyes are looking forward, and then there's the bald head with the eyes looking to the left. Both of them look about the same face-wise. It's just the hair and the direction of the eyes. And to change those out, it pretty much just pops off the top of that neck peg, and you get that onto there. And it almost seems like this one has more range of movement, only because the hair is not hanging off the back, so you can get up a little bit more. But he's perpetually looking to the left, so yeah, whatever. And then as far as accessories on the 1/12 scale Yoda, he's got a cane. It stays in his hand. It'll look weird if you pull it out of his hand, so there's that. For size, the 1/6 scale comes up to about 4 1/4. I guess that would scale to about 2¼ feet, which seems about right. But if you compare him to the Bandai 1/12 scale Stormtrooper model kit, it seems really, really small, doesn't it? I don't know. It just looks odd to me. But looking at the 1/12 scale Yoda, it comes up to about 2 2¼ 2 1/8, somewhere in there. So same scale, but putting him next to the Black Series Bespin Luke, this looks right. Maybe the 1/12 Stormtrooper is kind of funky. I don't know. It's about the same with the SH Figure Arts Farm Boy Luke. Comes up above the knee. Looks about right. Add in the Black Series Yoda and you really get an idea of how big the Black Series Yoda is. The heads are about the same. It's just the body on the Black Series Yoda that kind of lets it down. It's too tall. It's proportionally too big for that head. Yeah, it just doesn't work. It looks like a kid in a costume. The main event is against the Kotobukiya Yoda. Now the Kotobukiya statues are about 1/10 scale, but the Yoda always looked good with the 1/12 scale figures. And here you can see that the Kotobukiya is bigger than the model kit. And without the paint being thrown on the model kit, yes, the Kotobukiya does win out, but I'm kind of liking the size on the model kit. It's weird. It just looks more like that classic Yoda, especially side by side like this. The Kotobukiya Yoda is kind of coming across stylized. So at the end of the day, a good model kits. I enjoyed putting them together, but once they were finished, it's just kind of like, yep, there they are. It didn't blow my mind. It didn't automatically make me think, I've got to get what I have on the shelf out right now and get these in there. But I do think this is a good experiment on Bandai's part to get an organic character out there. Because if you've put any of the model kits together, you know you have to do your own weathering, you have to do your own shading, you have to bring in the silvers, the dents, that kind of thing. And with organic characters, you're going to have to do a lot more work to the skin to make it look realistic. We're definitely going to have to paint these, is what it comes down to. Now, I will admit the eyes do work on Yoda, just being decals, and I think they would work on human characters, but again, you have to come in and punch in the skin tones. So, depending on how well this sells, maybe they will do human characters in the future. I don't predict a lot of them, but they may try another one at least past the next movies, get some more armored characters out there, get past Grievous, that kind of thing. As far as this goes, I don't really have a place for the 1/6 scale Yoda. I don't have a 12-inch display. I do have the Stormtrooper, but he's actually sitting on a dresser in the bedroom, just kind of hanging out, not really being displayed, and I guess Yoda will go there. And I had fun. It's nicely articulated, but I have no use for it. Somebody else may, but not me. I think I may throw some paint at the 1/12 scale one, though. I'm really liking how classic it looks with the rest of my Star Wars figures. And really, I was using the Kotobukiya, so it's not like I'm losing articulation anywhere. Don't get me wrong, I wish this was articulated, but after some of the small pieces I messed with in the 12-inch scale figure, there's no way they could have done it in the 6-inch scale figure. So yeah, I'll see where this goes. Like, I have so much time to customize. I still haven't weathered my Scarif Stormtrooper or whatever else I built last time I was around, K2SO and something else. At some point in the future, before I pass away from old age, I may get this done. So if you like the review, comment, like, subscribe, and I'll catch you on the Fwoosh.